The Office is as popular today as it was 9 years ago when it first aired. For one, the show was just an amazing piece of work. But there's only one piece of evidence you need to know just how funny each episode was, and that's the cast's reactions to shooting one of its most iconic episodes. Yes, in this video, we're going to get into how the cast felt when they filmed the episode that opened our eyes to just how bad a dinner party can get. First up, the hardest episode to film. For the cast of The Office, the dinner party episode ranks among the most memorable ones because of the events that took place behind the scenes, as well as the fact that it is one of the show's most iconic episodes. The said episode was one of the most difficult to film, according to the cast members. Not only do viewers cringe on the inside every time they hear Michael and Jan call one another babe, but it was just as hard for the crew to film the episode because they couldn't keep it together. The episode makes you wonder just how uncomfortable they will make everyone feel. As viewers get a deeper look at Michael and Jan's painfully dysfunctional relationship and household, they're amazed at how the two managed to live together for so long. The train wreck of an episode runs for about 22 minutes, but the cast had to film the episode for a much longer session before they were able to wrap up the taping. So what exactly happened on the set that made their shoot longer for an extended period? Up next, how did the cast survive the filming? Amongst the numerous A-grade episodes on the show, Dinner Party is on a whole other level of hilarity. In fact, many fans agree that the episode only gets better with each rewatch. You'll remember that Michael traps Jim and then invites him, Pam, Angela, and Andy to a dinner party that he's hosting with Jan. Whether it's the Nordic cherry table, the plasma TV, the little sofa bed that Michael sleeps on, the bonfire-smelling candle, or Jan's assistant's song, the episode is just a bunch of perfectly cringy moments stacked together to bring that episode to life. Oh, and don't worry, we didn't forget Dwight's sudden appearance with his babysitter/lover. So, of course, it didn't come as a surprise when the cast members acknowledged that it was challenging to film the show. It's not because of anything terrible, it's just that they found it too difficult to shoot because they couldn't stop laughing. Even Steve Carell admitted that it is one of his all-time favorite episodes, and the rest of the cast members all agreed with him. Melora Hardin, who plays Jan, said that although she doesn't recall a specific joke that made her laugh out loud, they were all just on a laughing spree and couldn't stop no matter how hard they tried. Either Hardin or Fisher would be forced to suppress their giggles to finish the shoot as soon as the cameras started rolling. The actress also acknowledged that it took the longest to film since they had to practically stop recording so they could let out their laughs. The amusing part is that Hardin claimed no one knew why they were laughing. Everyone was simply caught up with how absurd it all was. The actor who portrays Jim Halpert, John Krasinski, acknowledged that he anticipated the episode would be challenging to shoot as soon as he read the script. His favorite joke on the episode was Michael's TV, which Jan would end up throwing a Dundee at. Just like how Hardin described the shoot, Krasinski revealed that he was literally crying from how hard he was laughing. Even pros like Steve Carell had a hard time maintaining their composure. Following up, the tiny condo. Except for a few scenes, the majority of The Office episodes were shot within the Dunder Mifflin Scranton branch office. Michael's condo, where Jan was also living, was the location for the dinner party episode, and that's where all the cast and crew had to congregate to shoot the episode, which took longer than usual. While the Dunder Mifflin office is a large space for filming, the condo is a touch tight, given that they had to fit everyone in there. They were all uncomfortably cramped while filming, according to Hardin, who also disclosed that there wasn't much room to hide from everybody. Despite the little shooting area, she believed it to be the ideal location for the aforementioned episode. All the bodies in the space caused it to become scorching hot, but that only added to the tension and uncomfortable vibes that made the episode so memorable. But this episode isn't the only time you see Michael makes you suffer from secondhand embarrassment. In fact, there are countless moments when we feel he just crosses a line and makes us feel even weirder than before. But hey, that's why we saw the show. Let's look at some of the the times Michael made us feel awkward. Firstly, when they read out his diary. Michael Scott, who is the key witness in the case, was forced to make a difficult choice when Jan decided to sue Dunder Mifflin for her termination. Despite this, he tried to avoid answering some questions that made some ill-timed jokes. But when his journal was read aloud, things became harder. That's what she said. Sorry, we couldn't help it. In his diary, he talked about sleeping with Jan, how she told him it was a mistake, and how Ryan Howard is really attractive. Worst of all, his nemesis, Toby, gets to read it all too. After all that awkwardness, which even led David Wallace to apologize to him, Michael decides to take the side of the company, who's not been all that great to him either. But then again, Michael had a point. Still, driving back home with Jan having missed out on the $4 million is as awkward as it can get. Coming up, when he recreated a family picture for his girlfriend, Michael Scott is a brave man. To surprise his girlfriend, he finds a picture of her with her ex-husband and kids on vacation and pastes his face over his. Naturally, she couldn't understand what was going on in his head, which made him think this was okay. She called him out on it, but to make her feel better, he extended an invitation to travel to Sandals, Jamaica, which, let's not forget, was all-inclusive. Obviously, she ended their relationship, but that short moment was one of the worst things we've seen him do. Up next, when he forgot which girl was his date. This embarrassing moment follows right after the previous one. After Carol breaks up with him, he's depressed, and before the office's holiday party, Michael is taken out for lunch at a Japanese restaurant. When he returns to the office, he has a waitress on his arm, who he introduces as his girlfriend. It's already very embarrassing because the girls appear to be far too young, but it gets only worse. Unfortunately, Michael gets a little too drunk and is unable to distinguish between them, and eventually uses a marker to be able to point out the one he came with. We can say that this was one of Michael's low points. Moving on, when he came on TV as a child. When the workers in his office building bring their children along to visit for the day, Michael recalls that he was on a show called Bundle Bundle. The children are impressed, and he gets Ryan to get the cassette from his home. But in the excitement of it all, he had forgotten just how embarrassing his little interview was. The video focuses on little Michael, who's dressed in an ill-fitting suit for some reason, and tells the interviewer that he wanted to have a lot of kids so that he could have friends who cannot leave him. Yeah, that's disturbing. What's worse is when the kids in the office question him if he got what he wanted, he's forced to face reality. He's not married, nor does he have kids. Just bad. Finally, when he walked Phyllis's father down the aisle. Scott's tots is bad, no doubt, but Michael is embarrassing with every step he takes in this classic episode. Phyllis Vance asks Michael to push her wheelchair-bound father down the aisle to extend her honeymoon, which she soon begins to regret. The whole day, Michael proves to be nothing but a pain, but it all gets worse when the time comes to do what he was asked to do. Halfway down the aisle, a standing ovation greets Phyllis's father as he slowly rises to his feet and walks with his daughter. Michael, though, is furious. To avoid being outdone, Michael Scott drags the wheelchair all the way to the altar. From there, he climbs up the steps slowly and crams himself between two groomsmen who don't seem to want him there in the first place. And he still wasn't done. When the priest pauses, Michael shouts, "Ladies and gentlemen, may I present to you for the first time as a couple, Mr. and Mrs. Bob Vance," to a silent chapel. Turns out the priest wasn't done yet, but Michael doesn't give up. In fact, he just waits for the moment to come around and shouts out at the right time and looks ecstatic. Which episode from The Office is your favorite? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. See you in the next one.